when Boris Johnson first came to power, he was always like, we need to bring the country together. We need to end this Brexiteer Remainer argument. But here's the thing, and I'm going to do a video later in the week responding to Majid Nawaz, who made a video on this very subject. So we're going to do a response to that, covering that exact topic later on. But as always, with Boris Johnson, Johnson here cannot respond to critics, especially covering the coronavirus, the economics, even just the foreign policy. So the idea that what especially he's been doing recently is using the term Remainer, not as an insult. That's what it's meant to be, is as a pure insult. It's gone beyond just being someone who said, well, I voted to remain for, I think we are stronger and better in the European Union, to be, oh, you're a Remainer. And it becoming towards a very negative connotation, because the right wing are desperate to try and portray calling someone as a Brexiteer as a positive thing, but a Remainer, ooh, not so. And we've seen this recently from Boris. This seems to be a part massively of what seems to be Cummings and Johnson's culture war stuff that they're trying to continue this fight with. And like I say, we'll get to Majid Nawaz's video that he did on that from LBC. So we'll cover that maybe later this week, maybe next week. I don't know. Well, depends how we'll have to do it, because you know how I am with editing. I might even just bring it on my tablet and we'll just play and stop it. We'll see. I'm sorry, but yeah, we'll see. So anyway, this comes to us from the New Statesman this time, and the title of the article is, "By using Remainer as an insult, Boris Johnson shows he has no interest in reuniting the country." Twice last week, Boris Johnson used the same word to denigrate Keir Starmer. At Prime Minister's questions, he called the Labour leader an Islington Remainer. The following day, at an end-of-term meeting of the Conservative Backbench 1922 committee, he called the leader of the opposition a yo-yoing Remainer lawyer. Leave aside that the first of those slurs was a way of diverting attention from Starmer's question on an issue of paramount importance to this country, and one that the Prime Minister fails to take seriously: Russia's possible attempts to subvert our democracy, or the fact that Johnson was himself an Islington, having owned a 5-storey Georgian house in Islington from about 2019 until he sold it last year for over 3.75 million, or that Starmer's pre-parliamentary career as a human rights lawyer and director of public prosecutions was vastly more distinguished and worthwhile than Johnson's as a meticulous purveyor of newspaper columnist, or that Johnson is the true yo-yoer per excellence. His recent U-turns include decisions on Huawei, school meal vouchers, junk food, the NHS surcharge on foreign employees, test and trace, face masks, and removing voting for MPs. What was truly disgraceful about Johnson's employment of the word Remainer was as a term of abuse. In doing so, he reveals his disdain not just for Starmer, but for the 48% of British citizens who voted to stay in the European Union in 2016. He revealed that he was lying when he said in his New Year's message that we in this one nation Conservative government will never ignore your good or positive feelings for warmth and sympathy towards the other nations of Europe. And when he stood outside Downing Street after winning last December's general election and told Remainers, "I want to reassure you that I will be a Prime Minister for everyone, not just those who voted for me. More than that, I will want to work with you as friends and equals as we build the future of this United Kingdom." And any halfway decent Prime Minister with an 80-seat majority would strive to heal a nation as bitterly divided as Britain was by the Brexit referendum. By using the word Remainer as an insult, Johnson does the exact opposite. Beyond the empty rhetoric, he has done nothing to reach out to the 16 million people who voted Remain in 2016. On the contrary, he has compounded their dismay. He has pursued the hardest possible Brexit, repeatedly threatened to abandon negotiations with the EU, and refused to seek an extension to the transition period. He has frequently and needlessly antagonised those on the continent who have been our friends and allies for the past 40 years. He has purged Europhile MPs from the Conservative Parliamentary Party and has staffed his cabinet with fervent Eurosceptics. Nor has he done anything that would persuade Remainers that they were wrong in 2016. His Global Britain is a joke. On climate change, on the coronavirus pandemic, counter-terrorism, Syria and the Middle East, Britain has all but vanished from the world, consumed by its own navel-gazing. Our influence in Brussels, Washington and other world capitals and a multinational institution such as the United Nations is manifestly diminished. Take back control has become another bad joke. Donald Trump tells us to exclude Huawei and we obey, because we can no longer afford to fall out with the US's unspeakable president. Alone, we are powerless to prevent China from curtailing Hong Kong's freedoms, or Russia from pursuing its cyber warfare and democratic disruption. Once a leading and influential member of a rich and powerful bloc of 28 nations, we are now isolated and adrift in an increasingly dangerous and unstable world. Far from the sunny uplands we were promised in 2016, the United Kingdom now looks increasingly likely to fragment. We have yet to conclude a single meaningful trade deal to compensate for our voluntary departure from the world's largest free trade zone. Our economy has stalled even before the COVID-19 pandemic. Brexit has sundered friends, family, and young from old, urban from rural, region from region. Racist thugs feel empowered. The government assails the judiciary, the civil service, the BBC, and other venerable institutions. Promotion to senior public posts is now conditional on loyalty and subservience, while expertise counts for nothing. I do not know a single Remain voter who has changed his or her mind since 2016. We officially left the EU on the 31st of January, and I struggle to think of a single obvious benefit that has ensued. Freed from the rule of, quote, unelected bureaucrats in Brussels, we instead find ourselves at the mercy of Dominic Cummings. Johnson no longer attempts to paint a compelling vision of a post-Brexit Britain. The best he could offer during last December's general election was get Brexit done, which made leaving the EU sound like a necessary chore, such as homework or the washing up. Only a tiny band of rabid ideologues still generally exults at the idea of Britain severing its ties with the continent. Most people regard it as something we must do because we voted for it 4 long years ago, when the world was a very different place. Johnson slags off Remainers not because they have been proven wrong, but because by despairing them, he shores up his new base of aggrieved blue-collar workers in the North and the Midlands. Those converts to Johnstonianism should be wary. They are about to ask themselves this question: do they seriously think this Eton and Oxford educated Islington, this champion of immigration and the city when he was mayor of London, this product of the capital's media elite, give a damn about their plight before Cummings told him it was electorally expedient to do so? And that's where many people are going to be in a couple of years' time. And I'm just going to say it right now. I'm putting in my call for, let's say 2 or 3 years' time, these people in the north who voted for Johnson are going to be very bitterly disappointed, because Brexit ain't going to save them. It never was. Johnson's promises about his miraculous New Deal, they're not going to materialise in the north or in the areas that need them. Once again, you've only got to look at the recent EU budget deal. The EU budget deal isn't based on politics, as the New Town Fund certainly is, as it was shown a couple of weeks ago. The EU, if we were still in, we would have been a massive net beneficiary, because money is sent to the areas where it has the lowest GDP, and that would have been the north and Cornwall. Hence why you see Cornwall, I hope they do it, because that will be funny to see and report on. In fact, it will be funny to see the government argue that. They want the government to replace the 700 million that they lost from the EU funding. And they're not the only ones that could be asking that very soon. You know, I'm very tempted to write to my MP, Dan Jarvis, who also happens to be Mayor of the Sheffield City region. I'm very tempted to say to him, hey Dan, why don't you follow Cornwall's example here and sue the government for all this money that they promised us? After all, this was a promise of the Brexiteers. I specifically remember phoning into the Nigel Farage show on LBC, and I wish I could find it. All I could tell you, there was some point in 2016, maybe early 2017, and I know for a fact I was the last caller on that show. I don't know if that actually helps. But I specifically called up and said to old Nige, look, where are we going to be getting all this funding from? And he had no answer. So, you know, bear that in mind. You know, and the anger for these people is going to be very, very palpable, because the Brexiteers G'd these people up to such an extent about how they were, you know, oh, leaving the EU is going to be wonderful, it's going to make everything better. What are we going to do? How are they going to explain this in, and this is going to be fun going forward, by the way, going forward and seeing the Brexiteers trying to justify that we are in a better position than we were, 6 or 7 years ago. I cannot wait for the arguments and the delusions that they are going to try and peddle to people on that. So, with that, please remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel and the video. And again, share it about, please. It does help support the channel. And if you would like to support the channel in another way, I do have a Patreon page that you can go and have a look at. The links will be down below there. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee link in case you would like to make a one-off donation to the channel. And like I say, every little bit helps. And, you know, maybe I'll start building up this channel a bit more. Maybe. But probably. I probably will start doing that, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all soon.